Forget the $4 million import, forget the reigning legends. On the very first morning of February, a 20-year-old lefty just committed an act of outright theft against the entire Yomiuri Giants organization. 5 home runs, 42 swings. Against a brutal, neutralizing headwind. This is not merely a hot start to spring training. This is an ambush that just ripped the hierarchy apart. The air inside San Marino Stadium was thick with the scent of freshly cut grass and the desperate energy of 80 men fighting for 25 roster spots. But for the opening act of camp, it was Aramaki Yuya, the second-year left-handed slugger, who delivered the definitive statement. The reports are almost comical. 42 swings taken, and 5 of them were sent on trajectories that simply refused to return to Earth. Let's talk about the conditions, because this is where the legend is forged. A strong current was whipping from right field toward left field, a crosswind that typically suffocates the power of a left-handed bat, driving the ball down and foul. Yet Aramaki's swing plane, coupled with a barrel speed that looks genuinely shocking for a player his age, generated such violent, perfect backspin that these drives defied physics. The pinnacle of his performance was a searing 3-home run burst that spoke volumes about his potential, consistency, and power distribution. It wasn't just a pull shot. We saw one shot clear the gap in center right field, another one screaming over the right field wall, which is the ultimate defiance against that wind, and the final one in the sequence kissed the left field pole. When a second-year player, still fighting for an identity, displays opposite field power on day 1 in adverse conditions, you don't call him a prospect anymore. You call him a problem for the coaching staff, specifically the problem of where to squeeze this man into an already crowded diamond. The Giants' plan for this camp was supposed to be about stabilizing the foundation. The veterans needed to shake off the winter rust, and the high-profile acquisitions needed to integrate. The initial fielding drills on the first day laid out the expected battle lines. Richard was slotted at first base, competing directly with Aramaki, while Katawaki and Urata covered second. The hot corner, third base, was reserved for the eternally indispensable Sakamoto, alongside the newly acquired import, Dalbec. The outfield was a mix of reliable speed and pedigree. Matsumoto, the FA addition from Nippon Ham, in center, flanked by veterans like Maru and Nakayama in the corners. Aramaki was starting at first, staring down the barrel of competition with Richard, the powerful foreign hitter who was penciled in as a primary candidate for the crucial cleanup spot. But this is where Aramaki's versatility, highlighted later in the day, becomes the game changer. During the defensive drills, after the initial positional groups were set, the coaches began testing versatility. Suddenly, Aramaki was shifted to third base, covering the hot corner, while Kohama moved to second. The immediate question from the fans, can Aramaki play second, might be the key to his immediate future. If he can demonstrate adequate defensive chops at 2B or 3B, his potent left-handed bat becomes utterly indispensable, transforming him from a first base specialist challenging Richard into an all-field asset. While Aramaki was dominating the live batting cage, other stars were also showcasing their readiness. The revitalized form of Sakamoto was evident. The veteran shortstop turned third baseman displayed the sharp, quick motions we expect from a player seeking a glorious return to peak performance. Matsumoto, donning the Giants uniform for the first time in camp, moved with the effortless grace of a proven all-star in center field. Even the foreign imports looked sharp. Dalbec, the American edition, moved smoothly, earning praise, and Richard, the incumbent power threat, showed his camaraderie by shouting, "Bobby, good!" after one of Dalbec's towering drives. The atmosphere was charged with competition, but Aramaki's performance served as a thunderclap, silencing the ambient noise. The fan sentiment immediately swung from cautious optimism to outright hysteria. The social media echo chamber was unanimous. Aramaki is actually a monster, isn't? And that Australian training stint clearly paid. Last year, much of the hype focused on the likes of Ishizuka, but Aramaki, it seems, used his time in the Australian Winter League not just for development, but for metamorphosis. He returned to Japan a different creature, a slugger who understands how to leverage his frame and create game-breaking contact.
The true dilemma for the Giants now is managing the expectations versus the available opportunities. The path to the starting lineup is still incredibly narrow.
Even if Aramaki is a monster, he still faces Richard at first base, a player the organization has invested significant resources in as a potential number 4 hitter. There is the possibility that the veteran Okamoto is shifted to a different position, opening up a power spot. But Aramaki's immediate route to everyday action relies on him performing with this kind of impossible consistency in the scrimmage games. He must treat every single at-bat like a final audition, proving that the 5 home runs in the morning sun weren't a fluke, but a harbinger of things to come. He needs to become the Giants' version of a left-handed power utility player, a modern interpretation of a clutch hitter who can fill gaps and punish mistakes. If he can maintain this blistering pace and demonstrate defensive competence across the infield corners, the pressure on the coaching staff to bench an established veteran or a high-priced import becomes enormous. Aramaki is no longer just appealing to the coaches. He is demanding a spot, forcing a change in the established order with the sheer violence of his bat. This day one performance didn't just make headlines. It fundamentally altered the gravitational pull of the Giants' infield competition. Aramaki is forcing the team to reevaluate their entire 2024 offensive strategy. The question is, can a day one phenomenon translate this sheer, unadulterated power into consistent run production against opposing aces? We just saw Aramaki crack the foundation, but the true test of consistency begins when the live scrimmages start and the opposing pitchers start throwing breaking balls and paint the corner heat. Next week, we will analyze the tactical maneuvers the Giants must execute to fit this young powerhouse into the opening day lineup, focusing on how Richard and Sakamoto are impacted by this seismic shift. If Aramaki doesn't cool off, who is the bigger casualty? Make sure you're here for that breakdown, because the Giants' internal battlefield is about to go nuclear.